signature namesake event of our Wade-In Festival. I'm Christy Garman, the manager here at the Estuary Center. This is Lauren Briosky, our naturalist. This is Missy Lauterbach, our naturalist also. And a couple more of them not on the camera, Kat and Sarah. So today and now it is time for us to conduct our sneaker index, where we're going to wade out into Otter Point Creek. We're going to walk out just far enough to lose sight of our toes, and at that point we're going to use our handy dandy yardstick and we're going to measure the water depth at the point where we lost sight of our toes. We'd like to say a big thank you to Senator Bernie Fowler, who got this whole tradition and event started in 1988. He grew up on the Patuxent River, and he remembers as a boy being able to wade into a depth of over 5 feet, and he was still able to see his toes. Fast forward to 1988, and things had changed in the bay. So he conducted the wade-in, and that date in 1988, they were only able to wade in 10 inches before they lost sight of their toes. So ever since that day, we have been conducting the wade-in annually to get this sneaker index, and we use the event to shine a light on water quality, why it's important to all of us, and what you can do to improve it. All right, so now I'm gonna let Missy take it away. She's gonna tell us a little bit about other ways that we can measure water clarity.
All right, everybody, so I'm going to have you come on down here. Watch out, there's a step. What we're going to do is I'm going to show you a few different scientific methods for measuring water quality. As Christy already said, Senator Bernie Fowler actually used the sneaker index, which basically means he walked in the water with those white high-top shoes and saw those shoes down in the water until they disappeared, and that was the measurement. And we're going to do something similar ourselves. That is the tradition. But I want to talk to you about how scientists use different tools. So one of the tools that we have here, this is actually called a turbidity tube. And Lauren's going to grab one and fill it up. And she's going to sort of be my Vanna White and show you exactly how it works. So Kat, you can kind of watch Lauren a little bit there. These turbidity tubes have a measurement scale on them, and then they also have a tiny little Secchi disc at the bottom of them. So this is a Secchi disc, and you can see the different colors. So the white and the black markings, those contrasting colors are really, really easy to see, and they stand out. So what happens now is Lauren has her tube filled with water. She is going to look straight down into that tube, and she is going to push down at the bottom of the tube. It has a valve that lets the water out. As she pushes down, the water level is actually going down, and once she sees that little mini Secchi disc in the bottom, she's going to stop pushing down. That'll stop letting the water out, and then you can see she can actually gauge right on that measurement there, and she can take her measurement and be able to record what the depth was that she could see it. So this is one of the scientific methods that's been used for a very, very long time. We do have more modern technology that scientists use these days, and we're going to have Lauren kind of demonstrate that as well. So what she is pulling out right now is our YSI, and this actually has probe sensors right on it. I didn't take the cover off of it, sorry Lauren. It has these probes right on it that when you put it in the water, it will give you different water quality parameter readings. So it's not just going to tell us the turbidity, which is one of the things that we're looking at. And turbidity is basically just the clarity in the water, you know, and that is caused by many different things. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but she's going to go ahead and use what most biologists will use now in their research. They'll use something like this. There's also stationary probes. We have one over at our pontoon pier. Unfortunately, due to COVID-19, it is not up and operational at this point, but normally it is running, so we can actually see real time what our parameters are, and it changes day to day. So Lauren right now is she's just demonstrating how she doesn't want to put it all the way down on the ground. She also doesn't want it out of the water, so it's kind of right in the middle of the water column is what she's demonstrating, and this is exactly how scientists kind of measure it today. So now we're gonna do the fun part. The fun part is the sneaker index. This is the one that everybody loves because they get to wade in the water. So I'm gonna have my fellow naturalists and park managers come on down. So what we'll do, we all have our masks. I'm going to stay a little bit apart from everybody so I can talk just a little bit as we go out. Christy actually has our yardstick right here, so she can measure our depth. What we'll do is we're going to walk out together. You guys can stay close enough because I'm going to continue to talk. I need my mask on. So, thank you. Lauren's warning me that I'm about to trip over a lot. Normally we do this with a whole group of people all along our shoreline, and it's a lot of fun. But due to what's going on, it's just us, and we are trying to follow our social distancing guidelines here. But we're going to walk out in a straight line, and we're going to keep walking and keep our eyes on our toes. And when we individually feel like we've lost sight of our toes, we are going to stop. So it might be slightly different for each of us, but we should be fairly close to each other. All right? So let's begin, ladies. You ready?
Very cold right here. Got the best spot. Yeah, the spring. I shouldn't have worn brown shoes today, guys.
I can still see mine.
Well, I'm done.
I have really dark sandals and really white feet.
Oh, okay.
So
As a second
So we'll go ahead and we'll measure right where Christy is, right there.
Okay, shall we hand it down and take an average? Or?
Yeah, we could do an average.
All right, so. I get 15 inches.
Okay.
Now, Christy, when we record the sneaker index, we go by inches, correct?
Yes.
But when we record on the turbidity tube,
Mine was, even though I'm further away from Christy, it's 15 and a half. Maybe I'm in a hole.
mine is 18 and a half. So we just measured this in inches, but when you use the turbidity tube, we actually use
Centimeters.
it's centimeters, but the YSI itself is measured in a slightly different index. So everything in science, we don't use standard. We use
It's NTUs for the turbidity, for the YSI, which stands for nephelometric units.
such a good word.
It's a really fun word. Share that one.
All right, so we've recorded, we can average ours out as we walk up. Now let's go ahead and walk up and look at what previous years were, and we'll talk a little bit about that, okay? I hope you guys can hear us enough. I'm a pretty loud person.
Why don't we have some of our participants figure out the average for us?
Oh yeah, that's a great idea. Any good people good at math, please figure out the average.
15 and a half, and
18 and a half.
18.
Did we get any comments?
nobody said
No
what
one
the
wants to do
average
math
was.
today?
They don't want to do math for
Come on,
us?
guys.
Okay. We're naturalists.
I'm on camera. I'm not going to be able to do math right off the top of my head.
That's why.
So
That's why,
Christy's
'cause
going to
you're on
come up
camera.
with our average. It is. It's totally why. Okay. So one thing I want to explain really quick before I we talk about the measurements is that when we're doing turbidity, it is kind of like reversing your brain when you look at it on here, because the higher the number, the clearer the water. So you want your bar to be higher. That means that the water was clearer during that time of the year. So if you go, we started all the way back in 1988, and our turbidity was 7.5, I guess, inches, and then you can follow it all the way to 2019. So you could say, just by looking at it, we're not doing any statistical analysis here, but it looks like it has improved since 1998. Now, it still hasn't gotten above 25. Well, it got a little teeny bit above 25 in 2004. So, in turbidity standards, it's really not the best, right? So there's still a lot of improvements that need to be done to clear up our water out here. But I do want to mark this year. So what was our average?
16.3 inches.
16.3 inches. Okay. I'm going to do my best again to figure out where 16.3 is. So this is 20, 15, okay. Right here. Okay, how's that?
Above
Oh,
20. Go where my finger is now.
I have too many things in my hands, guys. Okay. So here we have our 16.3 reading for this year. So it's a little bit worse than last year, but we do want to talk about why is it looking like this today? So did anybody tune in for what happened last night? The giant rainstorm we had coming through. I was unfortunately driving through it, and the streets started to flood in like a matter of minutes. And when we get big storm events like that, that is going to pick up a lot of stuff right off our watershed, and it's going to make its way right into waterways just like Otter Point Creek. So with that quick, really heavy rainstorm, it probably picked up a decent amount of sediment. Now, in my opinion, with that rain, I guess because it wasn't super a long storm, it's really not as bad as it's been. Some of our readings out here have been in the single digits after a really, really heavy rain. I encourage anybody after a huge rainstorm, if you're near in the area, to come and take a look, because if you you put creamer in your coffee, that's exactly what Otter Point Creek will look like after a big storm. But results from the past years and from this year. Somebody remind me, what are we moving into next?
Solutions.
The solutions! How can I forget that one? All right, so we're all going to kind of share a little bit, because there are things that you guys can do to help with this, and if you've been tuning in throughout the day and tuning into the other videos, you'll see that we give some solutions, and some of our visitors do as well. I'm going to give, one of my solutions is going to be making sure that you don't put a ton of fertilizer or pesticides down, or even a little bit. If you can avoid it on your lawns and on your gardens, that's actually really going to help with turbidity as well, because it's not just dirt in our water, it's also algae. So if you're gardening, try your best to not put too much down, and do it when you know there's not going to be rain happening.
So something that I think is really important, and especially nowadays, we really encourage people to go out and take part in their community and development of their community as well. So talk to your councilman, talk to people that are in charge of zoning in your area, because development in your area makes a drastic impact on your waterways. Your local stream is highly impacted by how many houses and how much land is developed in your watershed. And we've seen that in just in this index, you can kind of look at the changes, and Harford County has changed a lot over the last 20 years, and our waterway has changed a lot because of that. So I encourage people to be involved in politics, in your local politics, and really find out, if they're building a new strip mall in your area, and take part in that decision making.
The wind wanted to join. All right, Christy, you got one for us?
Yeah, so I would say on your own property, you want to keep any bare soil covered. us at our homes has a lot of impermeable surface. So that's roofs and driveways and things that water will not soak into. It runs off. And on our own property, we can do our very best to make sure as much of that impermeable surface is turned into permeable. Obviously not your roof, but you could work on the driveway. You could make your driveway more permeable surface, for instance.
And I wanted to add into that too. Even though the center is closed right now, you guys can still come around the park. And our park, we just got a new parking lot put in. What year was it? 2017? And there's lots of information around our parking lot and around the grounds about things that we've done here to help with stormwater runoff. So you can come here, and even if we're not open, you can read a little bit and learn a little bit about what you can do too. So,
Rain gardens.
Yep.
We have a demonstration rain garden up there next to the permeable pavers.
Yep.
You can shrink that down to a size that's manageable for you in your home and put a rain garden in.
And cleaning up pet waste is a really important, simple thing that you can do. Believe it or not, that puts a lot of nutrients into our waterways. You leave your dog poop out there, it washes away in the storm, it goes right down into our creek, and it puts a lot of bacteria and nutrients in our waterway. And you think, oh, nutrients are great, right? Why don't we get more of those? Well, those nutrients don't cause good things, they cause bad things. They cause things like algae blooms. And those algae blooms actually block out any of the sunlight that can go down and help all of our submerged aquatic vegetation that really cleans our waterways. It kills them all up. So, you know, reducing the amount of pet waste that goes in the water makes a huge impact. We talk about farmers, you know, used to be a big issue, agriculture, but you know what? Farmers have very strict rules that they have to follow now. And it's no longer farmers that are the big issue. It really is urban and suburban communities that are the issue. So you have the control right now. You know, you being able to clean up these waters, you really have the power to do so.
Alright, so did we have any questions over there, Sarah, from anybody?
No, just a lot of I miss you all.
Oh, we miss everybody
We miss
too.
all of you so much.